Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard about this whole entire Rampage Jackson and Syko Stu situation, I thought it was all fake. You know, wrestling is all about putting on a show, selling things, and I wasn't sure that Syko Stu is not one of the wrestlers that was part of a promotion that was kind of like ECW back in the day. Now, it's been a very long time since I have been a wrestling fan, and just to give you an example of how long it's been, it was pretty much during the Attitude Era. The last time I seriously remember watching wrestling was back when Stone Cold Steve Austin was on there causing chaos. Now, with that being said, though, I do not think Syko Stu is part of the WWE. I think the program he works for is not. I'll look into that a little bit further. They may be affiliated with in some way, but I don't think he's a direct employee or a contractor with them, because I don't think they have employees and they have contracts, if I remember correctly. Now, if he was part of WWE, I know Vince McMahon would have a field day with this and try to find ways to sell this, promote it, and everything else, and then say it's business, baby. However, though, this is not the situation. And when I looked at it, I was like, okay, this has got to be some type of promotion. I know Roger is trying to make a name for himself. He's trying to get out his dad's shadow. And I just never imagined a vegan being this passionate. He's a vegan. And thank God he's a vegan, because if he wasn't a vegan and a meat eater, he probably would have unliked the guy. And that's the thing that's so crazy about all this. Whenever I see him and his father do streams together, he seems like such a calm, level-headed young man. To that point where I was like, is that really Rampage's son? Now, they look a lot alike, right? Especially getting close to the face. But I seriously doubted for the longest time that was really his son, just by his demeanor and how calm he is. Yes, he's a fighter also, but there's plenty of fighters out there in the world. And then I saw the video, right? I saw multiple videos, so I can't show the exact video here, but I'll show videos surrounding the situation afterwards and give my opinions on that here. But it did go a little too far. I won't even say a little too far. It went too far after the second punch. Realistically, probably the first punch. Because once he picked him up and slammed him down like that, and he was out cold, I can understand him doing like one punch after that point and not realizing he was knocked out and then stopping there. But he kept going and going and going. And he was egged on by a chat that's probably unemployed, out of shape, and still living in their parents' basement. And that's very unfortunate to see. This could go one or two ways. This could catapult his career, or this could get him in jail. It's one or the other. There's no middle ground here. Because if Syko Stu gets up and decides to press charges, it's over for him, right? Jackson Jr. is done. There's no career. There's no future. He's going to lose his streaming deals and everything else, right? But if Syko Stu doesn't press charges and he wants to have this as part of a show to get some get back, they can work out both people's favors. And it sounds kind of crazy to say that, but you got to understand that wrestling in general is a crazy business. Now, I understand the man's a veteran. I understand he sustained some substantial injuries, but that is the nature of the beast of wrestling. If you watch any episode of The Dark Side of the Ring, you will know how problematic and dangerous wrestling is. You know, there was an old saying back in the day that wrestling was fake, but it wasn't necessarily fake. It was just a predetermined outcome. But let's go ahead and play this clip right here first about how Rampage felt about his son.
People thought I was joking. They thought I was doing like a comedy bit. But Rogers and his oldest son, whole life, I knew them two wasn't going to college. And my two Japanese kids, I knew they was going to college. So I saved up college tuition for the two Japanese kids and bail money for Roger and his brother. So if you go to jail, I'm just going to bail them out.
And here's the thing about Rampage. And this is going to be kind of a long video because I'm going to talk a lot of this one. So I made a TikTok that I uploaded to my YouTube shorts, I believe. But I made a TikTok explaining how when I was a young man, I kind of had a little bit of an anger problem. You know, whenever you go through hardships in life, and you come from, I'll just say, a poor background where you had to fight a lot, and you don't have the right guidance there, you have a lot of anger, frustrated issues, and it can go one of two ways. You could be a very harmful, violent person, or you could be a very weak demeanor person. I chose the more violent route, and I was pretty disrespectful to my dad. And me and him threw blows twice, when I was 13 and another time when I was 16. But I said after that, the time I was 16, it was one of those moments where I wasn't scared to fight. It taught me determination and, patient things. All that. I took multiple lessons away from that the first time and the second time, because the first time I had my butt kicked, the second time I did not. But the thing about that is, though, that does seem to be a rite of passage for a lot of men and boys. I know a lot of, they may not want to admit it now, but people in my generation, I know I found old saying that, but people in my generation, we typically had a rite of passage of confronting and fighting our fathers, right? That is kind of a test of manhood, because 9 times out of 10, the one person you're going to be afraid to fight is your father. Because that's the man that raised you. That's the man that taught you most of the things you know. That's the man that helped instill discipline and respecting to you. At least he tries to, as long as you listen and want to be open to learn. So whenever you go against your father and you succeed, you can either become overly cocky, or you could take it as a rite of passage. And it's just depending on the person, the situation, and the lesson. Roger had that same thing too happen to him.
Get your ass whooped by your dad.
We already got in a fight once.
Oh, really?
2 years ago?
Yeah.
He sucker punched me.
Well, I saw the slap.
How'd that go for
Was
you?
that?
And what'd you do? Did you slam him on his head?
Oh, yeah, that motherfucker went to the hospital that day.
Yeah.
I don't play that shit.
Were you fighting 3-on-1 though? 2 big bitches came out the room too. Like, leave our man alone. You're like, oh god damn.
No, you know what? I felt bad about kicking his ass that day, and to this day, he's the only person I ever guillotined.
Oh my god!
I never get guillotined on nobody. I didn't want to keep punching him, so I guillotined him, and he wouldn't tap out. And
You put him to sleep?
Fuck yeah!
Wow!
Because when he sucker punched me, he almost rocked me, and it was right by I got like this 100-year-old door that turned to like a table.
Yeah, it's
like
haunted.
200 pounds. If I would have hit my eye, I would have died.
Oh, but hold on. What was the fight over? Why were you guys fighting?
It's private.
Because I walked in on him. That fat bitch.
No. Oh gosh, I was like, man, that ran deep.
He's not gonna want me to tell what that fight was over.
It was embarrassing for him.
Yeah. I ain't
stupid.
even want to talk about it.
Why?
Because
it happened.
Yeah, I know.
Out of all my kids, I got.
Here's the thing.
3 boys. I knew.
How old were you back then?
I was probably like
20?
Nah,
21?
18, 19.
So
let's make sure it was over 18.
But no, it's his
No,
son.
he was wrong. He was wrong. He was like 20.
But even if it was
like
14,
20.
but even if it was 14, it's your
23
son,
now. He's like 20.
and he sucker punched him. But the other thing is like, there's nothing to be ashamed about that you got guillotined by Rampage Jackson. It was just any old dad. Even dads usually win no matter what. But it's your dads were quitting Rampage.
He thought he could
Jackson.
beat me though. That was the problem. He was saying that he's saying that he can beat me.
Get your ass whooped by your.
And every single young man has that little bravado, thinking they're the man in the house, or they could take their dad out, everything else. And I'm kind of get something pulled up right quick that I forgot to download. I was going to go directly to TikTok and see if I can get this.
I'll get you like a.
All right, here we go.
I'll get you like a beautiful.
This is a little short clip. Let me get this pulled up. One
Get
moment.
your ass whooped by your dad.
He already. Asian wife.
No, it didn't work for you.
Because of you, sacrificed my marriage to get custody of you. That's why it didn't work. She was like, ain't no kid living in my house. I was like, fuck that. I'm taking my son. Let's go. Because of you. So you can't troll me on.
Now, there is no perfect way to be a parent or a father, right? And the most important part is to show up and try to be there. Now, I see a lot of people trying to criticize Rampage and critiquing his style of parenting. But here's the thing. If there is a rule book for parenting, we will have no criminals. We will have no prisons. There will be gainful employment. The society in general will just be great. Now, you can teach your kid every single thing right and wrong, and they still turn out, I won't necessarily say bad, but not how you would hope. So with Rampage, he had temperament problems himself. Let's just be clear here. We all seen examples of it. As he is aged, he seemed to have mellowed out. But unfortunately, it's one of those things. There's a couple of things that the hardest part about raising a kid is getting your kid out of you. Or getting the you out of your kid, excuse me. And that normally means is that the bad habits and traits that you have can often be passed down to your kids. It's hard to balance that out. If he didn't have a mother figure to help mellow him out, to show him a softer side, that could be an issue. And I could talk about my little own personal experience about that. I've been a single father too, right? I am a single father. My daughter's 17 now. I'm about to be 18 soon. Being a single father, I had to soften myself up a lot because she didn't have a mother around. And it's funny because people who knew me back then will tell you that I was a lot harsher and meaner because I was raised by a single father. My father raised me, so I didn't have the loving, nurturing mother figures around. So we have a hard-ass ex-military guy trying to raise a son, and then that son who's hard-headed and stubborn trying to raise a daughter. It's hard, and I had to learn to be softer so my daughter wouldn't go around being a hard-headed, angry woman, right? Grow up into be that, and she's not. It took me a while to figure that out, but I did. I don't think Rampage had that luxury to find that softer side of him to help his son out, mainly because of his career choice. But as you can see in that clip, Rampage loved his son. He chose his son over his ex-wife, right? And that speaks a lot. You're not going to abandon your kid. And that's kind of one of those things that I can talk about, how it's kind of hard to blend families together. Because ideally, you're supposed to put your wife above your kids, but at the exact same time, you cannot abandon your kids, especially if you're bringing in from another situation. So in that situation, I do think Rampage did the right thing. But get back to the topic of the video that most people are tuning into. I know we're 13 minutes into. I haven't played the video yet. I just been rambling. I apologize for that. Let's go ahead and watch the video of the incident. Let's go a brief timeline of it.
Get your ass whooped by your dad.
Let me see here.
What, you don't know me?
Hell no. Yeah, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, we had to skip the whole entire hitting the can, but that's what started this whole entire situation.
What the fuck was that?
You gonna sell it? No, he's not a fucking bro.
You see, when he's asking, are you going to sell it? You know, obviously he's sitting here thinking, oh, okay, he must be another worker, another professional, or just a fan. You know, fans play into this stuff a lot of the time too. And that's why I thought maybe this is another program kind of like ECW. Let's see. Hey, I got a comment. Let's see. Hopefully Roger never sees the light of day. May he rot in jail. Ah, man. I don't know how to feel about that. We'll see what happens.
What the fuck was that? Hold on. My dad can't never call me a bitch. Straight up. I appreciate it.
I didn't know.
Now, here's where I had an issue with. So when I first saw the situation, I didn't know that Syko Stu actually went back and apologized. He was like, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I had no idea that happened. So whenever I saw that, I was like, okay, maybe it's all part of the app. Maybe it's all part of the show.
I get it.
Because if you're an old school wrestling fan and you've seen ECW, you know how ECW got down back in the day. And God, what was the famous wrestler for ECW that had like cut marks on his head? Oh man, I cannot think of him. But he was one of the toughest wrestlers to ever live. Yes, emotional control for any athlete is important. But here's the thing. I'm not trying to make an excuse for him. But I'll play the clip.
Hey, Stu, we're working out. Well, he gonna come out on your matches. I know you keep thinking we're working. We're always working.
I get it now. I get it now. Now
You know what I'm saying?
See what I mean right there? You see, we're always working, and that's what I was saying before, that there is a miscommunication understanding. And when you see the demeanor between these two men, you would think that the situation is squashed and settled. So when they got into the ring,
We're always working.
it's kind of like confusing
So
how they
we'll
got to
set
that
it up.
level.
I'll have him come out during your match so we can fucking seal the whole thing and we'll make something out of it. You know what I'm saying? Of course. All right.
Tell you guys this. They told me to hit him and just leave. Somebody will pull me off of him and leave. I'm telling you. I'm going to hit him as many times as I can. Watch. No, they didn't tell me to fake hit him. They said I could hit him for real.
And when you hear that part, you can hit them for real. That whole entire, again, me thinking about the ECW days, they didn't pull anything back. They had real blood, barbed wire, what's those little Japanese wooden sticks, kendo sticks, things of that nature they were hitting each other with. They had broken bones and all kinds of stuff. That's why I wasn't sure, was this program kind of like that? And they just kind of underestimated his strength, him being an athlete. However, though, Raja needed more self-control and discipline. And like I mentioned before early in the video, once he slammed him, I can excuse one punch. I could excuse one punch because, you pick him up, you throw him down, your first instinct is to hit. But once you hit that first hit connects, you should be able to tell the man's already knocked out. And you should have stopped. He should have stopped right there. After that first punch, he should have stopped. Anything after that point was too much. Anything after that first punch was too much.
Yeah, they allowed me to hit him for real. If he hits me back for real, I don't give a fuck. I want him to.
And again, this whole entire situation had me so surprised because let's see what this comment said. Come on, bro. He tried to kill that man. Animal behavior. Like I said, he rots in jail. That man had a family. He will never be the same. Yes. Yes, he did go too far. Yes, he did lose control. He let himself get baited. I don't even know. See, I'm not a Twitch guy, so I don't even know how much it costs to send somebody 50 subs, right? But let's say it's like, $5 a piece for the subs. 50 subs for that amount it's not enough. That's just a few $100. That's not enough for the behavior that he did, right? I won't call it animal behavior, but he did lose control. Does he deserve jail time? It really depends on Syko and what he says. Syko Stu. Like I said, wrestling is a different animal completely when it comes to them promoting an incidents that happened there. And I'm talking for a man who's an old school wrestling fan from before the Attitude Era all the way up to ECW, seeing them being taken over in Azor, seeing WCW rise and fall. I've seen all the old school stuff, so I know how brutal it can be, especially a lot of the backyard wrestling too. So that's why I was kind of confused about this whole entire situation. But he was in the wrong. He was 100% in the wrong. After that first punch, anything after that was too far. And I hate to say that because when I saw him before all this happened, because let's be real here, whenever you saw a clip of Rampage, like I don't do Kick. I don't have a Kick account. I don't have a Twitch account. So the only time I see clips of people from those platforms is whenever they get uploaded to YouTube or TikTok, right? Whenever I see their interactions, whenever I see a clip between Rampage and his son, it always seems so wholesome. It's always seems so loving. The son seemed kind of, I won't say soft, but he seemed like he was just such a kind-hearted person. Naturally, he just wasn't a punk. You know what I mean? Now, you could be nice, but your nice is not weakness. That's the vibe I always got from him. However, though, he got the physical training down, but he failed in the mental training. And that's much more important. Because whenever you don't have that mental training, you lose control and you could potentially take somebody's life. Hell, even in YMCA karate, let's take it to YMCA karate, they teach you karate is for self-defense. Karate is not to go hurt people. So, and most people make karate out to be a joke. So, I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. It's the Ion Otire. I appreciate your commentary while I was on here. I always have to comment the feedback and the commentary. I love talking. So thank you again. I really appreciate it. I hope you subscribe. Time will tell what happened. I honestly thought when I first heard about it, it's got to be fake. You know, you hear about this stuff in wrestling. Heck, I still remember when Vince McMahon faked his death. But tragedies do happen in wrestling. I still remember. I'm old enough to remember when Owen Hart passed away. Whenever they did the what was he, the Blue Blazer or the Blue? He was some type of Patriot Blue something character in disguise. And what he would do was he would jump from the Raptors, and you have like a cord attached to him that help him come down. Well, they had some faulty cord. They cut some corners. He fell to his end. I'm old enough to remember when that happened. So tragedies in wrestling happen a lot. Things don't go as planned. Mistakes happen. But with this one right here, they let a untrained wrestler get into a ring to help put on a show. And unfortunately, the person that was there was just not emotionally disciplined enough to handle that interaction. It seemed like to me that Raja was fighting not Syko Stu, but everyone else that has hurt him in that moment. Because you got to think about it, he just came off of being embarrassed from having a spin kick to the head. And he feels like he's tired of being embarrassed and being made a laughing stock. But that's just the name of the game. Whenever you're sitting here on social media, whenever you're making a YouTube, going live, hell, I get insulted all the time on these platforms. You gotta be able to take it. It's a form of mental strength that not everybody has and able to handle. You gotta be able to ignore the trolls and steer the conversation the way that you want it to go. Don't let them control you, because as soon as they get done trolling you or doing something stupid, they're gonna live their lives while you're over there in prison. And I hate that for him. Anyways, you guys tell me what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for watching.